Business Minds, presented by the Business Journals of Florida. Brought to you by TECO Peoples Gas, at the heart of Florida's energy. In this episode, it's all about family, as South Florida Business Journal Editor-in-Chief Mel Melendez invites JM Family Enterprises President and CEO Dan Chait to share his company's impact across the region.
Welcome, Dan. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Florida Business Minds.
Thanks, Mel. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Now, you are the president and CEO of JM Family Enterprises, which is one of the biggest and most respected private companies in South Florida. And I know that you've been with JM Family for over 20 years, holding down leadership roles like COO and president before becoming the CEO earlier this year. So given your tenure at JM Family and your experience in the industry, I thought we could chat about how the auto sector is evolving and how JM Family is staying ahead of the curve. So let's get started. Now, the automotive industry has faced major shifts in recent years, as you know, from supply chain disruptions to the rise of electric vehicles. So what do you see as the biggest opportunities versus the biggest challenges facing the industry right now?
Yeah, sure. So I think some of the opportunities that the industry faces are really fantastic and almost unprecedented. We haven't seen opportunities as great as we see now in a long time. And I think a lot of them revolve around technology. You know, the technology in the vehicle, technology in the retail selling process, and just Gen AI and the unknown way in which that technology is going to help our industry. You know, the vehicle technology has come so far, so quickly, some of it in relation to battery electric technology, some of it in relation to safety features. But the car is just changing so quickly, and it's clearly driving a lot of demand. You know, it's, I think, positioning the industry and certainly JM Family for great opportunity. The selling process is seeing a lot of attention as well, a lot of capital being invested to try to improve the selling process, to meet the customer more where the customer wants to be met. And Gen AI is an unknown in many respects. We are investing in Gen AI. I'm happy to talk more about that in a bit, but the ways in which artificial intelligence can assist the industry, can improve the industry from a manufacturing, from a distribution, from an analytics, from a marketing, I mean, the opportunities seem endless. So I feel like so much of the opportunity is really technology focused. But we have risks too, you know, and no industry doesn't. We certainly have some risks that we're being mindful of. One of them is affordability. Interest rates remain stubbornly high. Vehicle prices, with the technology advancements, vehicle prices continue to grow. And it's making it a little more challenging for consumers to afford the vehicle that they want. That's certainly an issue we pay attention to. Tariffs is an unknown. And I think you'll see manufacturers over time adjust where and how they manufacture vehicles in response to trade policy. And maybe one of the biggest issues that's a challenge that we monitor, and hopefully it will not become a problem, but it's just the overall health of the consumer. How strong will the economy be? Will the consumer remain able and willing and wanting to go in and make a major purchase of a vehicle and then be able to continue, you know, to make the loan or lease payments that they've obligated themselves to? I think we feel like maybe we're headed towards a soft landing in terms of our economic environment, but that's probably too early to call at this point.
Okay. Now, you just alluded to meeting the customer where they want to meet, and more customers are now turning to the internet and mobile apps to buy, sell, or finance their vehicles. How do you think this is going to impact the auto industry in the long run?
I think it's already begun to impact the industry. Lots of manufacturers, maybe all, certainly lots, and Toyota in particular and Lexus, they're building tools for the retail selling process to enhance the customer's experience for their brands. And I think a lot of large dealer groups are building tools for their, not brand specific, but their group use. And so I feel like, you know, the Amazon purchase experience is one people would like to deliver in auto. It's a much more complicated transaction. And I think it will happen, but it will not be comfortable for every consumer. And so I feel what dealers are doing and will do is they will support and invest in these technologies. And many customers will want to use them. Many customers will transact online, digitally. Some still are going to want to come into the showroom, and dealers will be positioned to handle those customers. And I think the majority will start online and then come in to complete the transaction and really want to make sure that the work they've done online is not wasted, that their transaction is picked up where it was, where they left it off when they come into the showroom. So I think you'll see all of those things happen. And I think it has the effect of giving the manufacturer a little more influence over the customer experience than they've historically had. Dealers are independent of the manufacturer. They process a transaction, a customer, the way they think is best. But if the manufacturer is controlling that technology, they will have great influence over the experience the dealers that use that system provide to their consumers.
Now, we've been writing a lot about EVs, and electric vehicles are becoming more popular. That's thanks to like incentives and better technology, as you just mentioned. Yet car buyers still worry about the availability of charging stations and how far they can drive on a single charge. So how do you see these concerns impacting the future growth of EVs?
I think those concerns are real, and I think it has impacted and maybe stymied the growth of EV sales, but EV sales are going to continue to grow. And I believe that today, the technology isn't as compelling, and the infrastructure for things like charging is not as compelling to get as many people to buy an EV as some would like. But it will happen in time, and the technology will improve, will provide longer range, quicker charge times. Both of those are important to consumers. And I feel like in time, more individuals will want to buy an electric vehicle. But I don't think it will be the right solution for every customer ever. I think it's going to be a great solution for many customers. And Toyota has been long promoting, and we at JM Family certainly support their view, that there will be demand for all types of powertrains, battery electric, as well as plug-in hybrid, and some customers are still going to want, an internal combustion engine. And Toyota's going to manufacture for all those customers. So they will produce a whole portfolio of powertrains to meet the needs of all their customers, wherever they may be. But in time, when the product and the technology is advanced enough, I feel we will see battery electric vehicle sales continue to grow, and maybe significantly from where it is. It reached a level nationally of about 9% of sales. I think it's starting to come back a little bit, going down a little bit. The elimination of the federal incentive for a purchase or lease of a battery electric vehicle is going to hurt sales. So I think you'll see after that happens, sales fall even further. But over time, it will be an important part of the auto industry.
So it's clear that tech advancements are now essential for a company's growth. So could you speak a little bit on some of the innovative ways that JM Family is leveraging technology in the areas of elevating the customer experience or empowering your employees?
Absolutely. We're in the middle of some significant technology investments across our company. So in the auto side of JM Family, which is the biggest part of our company and certainly our history, we operate 3 separate businesses. All 3 are currently going through modernizations of their core technology, many of which are embedding generative AI to some degree, all of which are getting on more modern cloud-based solutions, some of which we're buying, some of which we're building. And we will not only enable through those the associate to be more effective and operate more quickly, but we're redesigning our processes as we go to make the business more efficient. We're also investing in generative AI. We've developed a center of excellence where we have some dedicated associates that focus on that opportunity so they get to learn how to most efficiently deploy it across different use cases throughout our company. And we've been playing with ideas. We've been accumulating opportunities to deploy generative AI. We've successfully deployed it in a few places. And I would tell you the opportunity seems great, but it's not easy. It's challenging. And what we've experienced is that it's not hard to develop a generative AI tool that can do great things. But in order to scale that, you have to integrate it with your other systems that weren't developed expecting generative AI to show up. And so that is where you have complexity, is operating at scale with these tools. We'll figure it out. The industry, all industries are going to figure it out because it's such a big opportunity. But that's where we've been really focusing. And in our efforts around Gen AI, it's all about trying to make our associates more productive, make them operate at a higher level. It's not about automating their work so we don't need our associates. It's about helping enable them to be even more effective. And that's really been our approach and position to date.
Great. Now, we've seen a rise in the demand and pricing of used vehicles. Do you think this is a short-term response to market pressures, or do you see a longer-term shift in consumer behavior?
We've definitely seen higher prices on used vehicles. I think there's really a couple things going on there. There's actually an article in the Wall Street Journal about this, and I think it's on point and it's aligned with our thinking. Used vehicle prices have been higher for the last several years, in part because of supply and demand. During the pandemic, the industry had horrible supply chain issues. New vehicles were not that available, so there's just more demand for used. Today, there's still a supply demand imbalance because during the pandemic, there was very little leasing going on, and leasing tends to produce 3-year-old vehicles 3 years after a lease is initiated. So those 3-year-old used vehicles that come into the industry come through leasing, and because the pandemic had such low lease rates, right now we have almost a shortage of vehicles coming back into the market. So again, you have a bit of a supply demand imbalance. Those will fix themselves. Those are not permanent. However, I think with technology continuing to grow and new vehicle prices growing, and the potential for manufacturers having to raise prices because of tariffs, I think new vehicle prices are likely to go up. And if that happens, it will bring used vehicle prices up with them. Used vehicles trade or sell at a discount to new vehicle transaction prices. So the more consumers are paying for new vehicles, whether it's because of the reasons I mentioned or just less incentive spend or any reason, they're paying more for new, it drives up the value of used. And I think you'll see that for some time. I don't think that will be a short-term phenomena. So I think those factors are driving prices up. I don't know that it's because consumers are deciding they'd rather buy a used than a new, but there are factors that are keeping those used vehicle prices high.
More with Dan Chait when Florida Business Minds continues. Peoples Gas, committed to safely delivering natural gas to homes and businesses across Florida. Investments in training, infrastructure, and new technologies help ensure reliable energy our communities count on. More about Peoples Gas at the heart of Florida's energy at floridasenergy.com.
You became CEO at a time of economic uncertainty. What leadership lessons would you say have been most valuable to you during this time, if you had to name a few?
Yeah, so I feel like managing through uncertainty is a team effort. It's not something any one person does. So I feel like the things that have allowed us to navigate through the last couple of years successfully, certainly the time since I've been CEO as well, it's really relying on and leveraging the team around me, the leadership team at our company. We have a broad team and we focus on succession and associate development and really have an extremely strong group helping guide this company daily. And I feel like in the role I'm in as CEO, part of my responsibility is to enable them to play their roles. And they've done it to a great degree in the last several years and since I've been in my role. I would also say, being a learner and trying to understand what's going on around you and not thinking that you know everything. Nobody's seen sort of these trade issues and some of the economic factors that we're facing today. We've all been through crises. We've all been through different challenges, but they're all unique. And each crisis sort of brings different factors. And I think rather than relying on a different experience in the past or what we think we know, we try to talk to as many people outside of our organization, participate in seminars or conferences, invite people in. We've had opportunities to just sit down with other companies in similar situations and talk to them about what they're seeing and what we're seeing. And, in a non-competitive environment, those conversations are very productive. So those are some of the things that I think have really helped us figure out how to, engage and navigate through this uncertainty.
JM Family has consistently ranked among Florida's largest private companies and one of the best places to work. So I have to ask, what's the secret to maintaining that culture? As you continue to grow?
I think it all started with Jim Moran and his attitude towards work, towards associates, towards his business partners, the culture that he built, and our continuing commitment to want that to be the way JM Family operates. Mr. Moran built an organization that was based on, all of his partners, all of his constituents succeeding. He wasn't trying to succeed at their expense, but rather with them and along with them. And we have an organization that values associates, values associate development. We have values that he started that we still talk about today. And I think really the secret to our success is the connection that builds with associates, the dedication that you get from associates, the mindset that they want to be a part of our success. They want to go above and beyond when they can because they feel appreciated and valued. And some of it is benefits, but most of it is how they're valued and how, the communication around that value and appreciation continues, all the time. It's not a once a year event. And so keeping that mentality is a priority of mine and a priority of our leadership team because of the power that we think that creates for JM Family. And it's easy to build on it, but if we take our eye off it, I do think over time it would dissipate. And so we're now 18 years since Mr. Moran passed away. And so we focus on making sure that JM Family culture is part of every associate's experience daily, because we don't want it to dissipate. We don't want it to evolve in a negative direction where we would end up being just like any other company. So it's a privilege to work here. It's a privilege to have the role I have. And I feel a responsibility to make sure that culture remains vibrant and growing and evolving with the way our company has evolved. Lots has changed since Mr. Moran passed away. And in many respects, the culture has evolved to keep up with times. And I think that's okay and that's healthy. And we just need to keep doing that. Keep the focus, and we will do that.
Nice. All right. Well, that's our time for today. So thanks so much for joining us, Dan. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. And I know our audience will enjoy hearing your perspectives on leadership and the automotive world. So take good care.
Thank you, Mel. Thanks for the interest in our business and in JM Family. And I wish you the best.
Likewise.
Florida Business Minds, presented by the Business Journals of Florida. Brought to you by TECO Peoples Gas, at the heart of Florida's energy.